we will start the class. Good evening. So, myself, Shobhan George Abraham, and I will be teaching the topics Ancient India, Medieval India, and Art and Culture. These are the topics that I cover: Ancient India, Medieval India, and Art and Culture. And there is a request that if you, if possible, may switch on your video. Otherwise, I will feel that I am taking the class alone, so that I can get the expressions and all. So, if possible, few of you may switch on your video, so that will help me, okay, to take the class in a better way. So, today, it's Ancient India. Today we are going to start. So directly we are going to the topic. So the first topic of the day, that is already till the decline of Mauryans are over. Oh, fine. So that means this batch was that earlier in that combined batch. Okay, fine. So that will be easy. So that introduction part and all are over. So we can complete the remaining. So if possible, few of you may switch on your video. How many of you are there? Around 32. Why you people, no one responding to that? Why not even a single person switching on your video? So no, sir, Ancient India not started for our batch. I was from batch 5. What? So that will be a confusion then. How many of you already attended my Ancient India class? How many of you already attended the Ancient India class? I have attended 4 classes for myself already. First batch till Mauryan dynasty. I have attended. So majority already attended the classes. And how many of you are for the first time to the class? That will be better. Those who are for the first time to my class, just message me. 1, only 1 person. 2, so only 2 people are there, and all others attended the class earlier. So we will start from the new topic today. That is not from the beginning. The people who didn't attend the class earlier, if you didn't get the video of the earlier class, you may contact our academy and I will also help you. I will inform them. And if you want to attend that classes, we can club that with some other batch. Okay, so many batches yet to start. So those people who didn't attend the class till now, that is from the topic from the beginning, prehistory to Mauryas. You people may join with some other batch. Okay, I think this majority out of 34, 2 are there in the first batch. Sorry, first class. All 32 others attended the class earlier. So today I will start from the new topic, that is the post Mauryas. And those who missed out that classes till Mauryas, you may ask for the videos. And if you want to attend the class, you may contact the coordinator at Shankar Academy and join some other batch. We will be starting new batches almost every week now. So you can get the timing and you may join that. Okay, you can message me also if you have any difficulty. So let's start from a video is lagging. Maybe chances are there because it is heavy raining here in Kerala. So sometimes the broadband connection can be lagged. Okay, raining, I don't know why this raining is, there is some relation between rain and the net speed. Okay, fine. It won't be that troublesome because almost 100 Mbps speed is there. So no problem, it will be. So now we will start the class from the post Mauryas. Okay, we'll start from post Mauryas. So the topic, post Mauryas. So post-Mauryas is a time period in Indian history from 200 BC to 300 AD. So this is the time period 200 BC to 300 AD. This is the time period 200 BC to 300 AD. This is post-Mauryas. 200 BC to 300 AD. This 500 years after Mauryas. This period is known as the post-Mauryan history of India. And Mauryan period, we had seen one big empire. One big empire, the Mauryan Empire controlling entire India. But here, in the post-Mauryan period, we never had big empires. On the other hand, we have good number of, how many? 1 second. Yeah, till Maurya. We finished up to Mauryas. Okay. I thought that this will be a fresh batch only, but many of you earlier attended the session. That's why I'm taking from post-Mauryas today. And don't worry, those who didn't attend that sessions, we will make arrangements for you. No need to worry about that. Okay. I think the 4 classes we finished before. Already 4 classes were finished. Okay. So those who are for the first time, we will do some arrangement for you. Okay. So you can attend in some other batch, those class you missed. There is no problem. You just understand that this is a new topic. There is no direct linkage between the all topics in the ancient India. So no need to worry that you are not missing out anything. And I will try to make that explanation wherever required. I will give that explanation. So Mauryan period, India had a very big empire under Ashoka and all. But after the end of the Mauryas, India got a political fragmentation. Large number of states emerged in India. Good number of states emerged. And during this period, we could see that mainly there were 2 types of ruling class. One is the indigenous rulers, and the foreign rulers. So this period we had many Indian dynasties in India. For example, Shunga, Kanva, Chedis, Shadavahanas, then the Chola, Chera, Pandya. So these were the dynasties in India, the indigenous dynasties. The indigenous dynasties were Shungas, Kanvas, that is, who were already there in India, their dynasties. Along with that, this period India witnessed the coming of foreign rulers like Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Parthians, Kushans. So post-Maurya period, there were large number of states in India, not like a Mauryan empire. Mauryan period, it was called Mauryan because only one empire controlled India. That was the Mauryan period. But the post-Mauryan period divided into so many states in India. So no big empire, and these rulers ruled India at different locations. So it's not one after the other. First point you have to understand that post-Mauryan period, we had both the Indian rulers and the foreign rulers simultaneously ruling at different parts of India. It's not like Shungas were thrown out and Chedis came. Shungas were ruling in central India. Chedis were ruling in Odisha. Shadavahanas in Andhra Pradesh. Chola, Chera, Pandya in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Then Indo-Greeks, Shagas, Parthians and Kushanas mainly in the northern and the northwestern part of India. So all these dynasties were ruling simultaneously during this period. This is just for introduction, and let's see what happened in India after the Mauryas. So the successors of Mauryas, first topic. The successors of Mauryas. One second. I draw this little more bigger. Period of post-Maurya, I already told, that is 200 BC, 200 BC, 200 BC to 300 AD. That is the time period. So the first dynasty to replace the Mauryan rule, that was the Shungas. So Mauryan rule in Gangetic Plain and Central India was replaced by Shungas. So Mauryan rule in the Gangetic Plain and Central India, Gangetic Plain and Central India was replaced by Shungas. And the founder, Pushyamitra Shunga. Founder of this dynasty was Pushyamitra Shunga. Founder of dynasty, Pushyamitra Shunga. So founder of this dynasty was Pushyamitra Shunga, and the capital was Vidisha. Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh was the capital. Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh was the capital. So here was the capital, Vidisha. So till then Pataliputra was the capital. Now there was a shift. Pataliputra, the capital at Pataliputra, now got shifted to Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh. Then Shungas were Brahmins. Shungas were Brahmins. Shungas were Brahmins. And thus there was a rise of Brahmanism in the beginning of post-Maurya period. Rise of Brahmanism in the beginning of post-Maurya period. Rise of Brahmanism. There was a rise of Brahmanism in the beginning of the post-Maurya period. Then this Buddhist sources, they say that the Buddhist says that Pushyamitra Shunga, he was an anti-Buddhist. Buddhist sources mentions that Pushyamitra Shunga was an anti-Buddhist. So they say that he killed thousands of Buddhists and all. So he was declared as an anti-Buddhist by the Buddhist sources. So Buddhist sources says that he was an anti-Buddhist. But historical evidences rejects that claim. We do have some historical evidences to disprove this claim. On one side, Buddhist sources mentions that he destroyed the Buddhist temples, killed the Buddhist and all. But we also have the evidence that he renovated the Shaga, he renovated the Sanchi Stupa and also constructed a new Buddhist stupa. So this is an important point. But Pushyamitra Shunga, he renovated Sanchi Stupa. He renovated the Sanchi Buddhist Stupa. Sanchi Buddhist Stupa. So Sanchi Buddhist Stupa was renovated by this Pushyamitra Shunga, Sanchi Stupa. Then he also constructed Barhut Stupa. Also constructed a new stupa, Barhut. Both are in Madhya Pradesh. Sanchi and Barhut, both are in Madhya Pradesh. Sanchi and Barhut, both are in Madhya Pradesh. Sanchi Stupa and Barhut Stupa. So the point here is that if he was an anti-Buddhist, why should he renovate a Buddhist stupa? Stupa and all we will study in the architecture class. Stupa is a sacred place of Buddhism where the remains of Buddha are buried. Okay, it is the place where the remains of Buddha are buried. So that is very significant for Buddhism. And Sanchi Stupa is a very famous stupa constructed by Ashoka. So if Pushyamitra was an anti-Buddhist, he could have simply destroyed that stupa. And not only that, he constructed a new stupa. So that shows that he was not an anti-Buddhist. So that's what we can make the judgment. Buddhist sources, they used to exaggerate many things. Though they say Satya and all, lot of Asatya is there in their works. For example, they said that Ashoka killed 99 brothers. No, Ashoka killed only 6. Only 6 in the sense that Ashoka killed 6 brothers, but it's not 99. So probably what happened at that time, Pushyamitra, a Brahmin ruler, automatically the primacy enjoyed by the Buddhists might have lost the significance. So their primacy was lost. So they became angry with the Pushyamitra. So they were trying to malign the name of Pushyamitra Shunga. This could have happened. This could have happened. So that is regarding Pushyamitra Shunga. Next point. During his period, during the period of Pushyamitra, Indo-Greeks invaded India. Indo-Greeks invaded India. Indo-Greeks invaded India. Indo-Greeks invaded India. And his son Agnimitra, defeated the Indo-Greeks. Agnimitra defeated the Indo-Greeks. And this information was provided by Kalidasa. That is this Indo-Greek and the victory of Agnimitra. This information was provided by Kalidasa in his work Malavigagnimitra. Malavigagnimitra. It's a love story of Malaviga and Agnimitra. Agnimitra, the Shunga Rajkumar, and his love story with the love affair with the servant of the palace, Malaviga. That is Malavigagnimitra. In that story, Kalidasa informs about the victory of Agnimitra over the Indo-Greeks. The next point. My pen's charge is down, so I wrote that fast and let me keep it for charging. 2 minutes charging, it will give some strength. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so listen to this point. Next point, that is Indo-Greeks and all I will explain. Okay, just wait, I will come to that today itself. Bhagabhadra, during the rule of a later Shunga king, Bhagabhadra. During the rule of later Shunga king Bhagabhadra, Indo-Greek ambassador Heliodorus, Indo-Greek ambassador, he was an ambassador of the Indo-Greeks, Indo-Greek ambassador Heliodorus, Indo-Greek ambassador Heliodorus, he established the Besnagar pillar inscription. He established the Besnagar pillar inscription. Besnagar pillar inscription. And this was the first evidence for Bhagavatism in India. Bhagavatism, T-I-S-M, Bhagavatism in India. First evidence for Bhagavatism in India. First evidence for Bhagavatism in India. And what is Bhagavatism? Bhagavatism is the worship of avatars. That avatara concept. Hindu religion, we have the avataras. Mahavishnu's avataras. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Sri Rama, Balrama, Sri Krishna. These are considered as avataras. Till post-Maurya period, there was no avatara worship in India. Avatara concept emerged only during this period. And this was actually copied from the Bodhisattva concept of Buddhism. Okay, this Avatara concept was copied from the Bodhisattva concept of Buddhism. So this worship of Vishnu and the Avataras, we call it as Bhagavata worship. So the first evidence of this Bhagavata worship that came through this period, that emerged during this period. That is post-Maurya period, this emerged. Bhagavatism emerged. And this Heliodorus was an ambassador of Indo-Greek king Antiochus. He was the ambassador of Indo-Greek king Antiochus. Ambassador of Indo-Greek king Antiochus. Then finally the Shungas were overthrown in the 1st century BC. Shungas were overthrown in the 1st century BC. Shungas were overthrown in the 1st century BC. Overthrown in the 1st century BC by the Kanva dynasty. Kanva, K-A-N-V-A, Kanva, K-A-N-V-A, Kanva dynasty. Kanva dynasty. And the founder, Vasudeva Kanva. Vasudeva Kanva was the founder. Vasudeva Kanva was the founder. Vasudeva Kanva. Nothing much about this Kanva dynasty, no need to study that. Finally, the Kanvas were overthrown by Indo-Greeks. And Shadavahanas. So from the northern side, Indo-Greeks, and southern side, Shadavahanas had overthrown them. So they were overthrown by Indo-Greeks and Shadavahanas. So that's regarding the Shunga Kanvas. Next, Chedi dynasty. So Maurya rule in Kalinga, that is Odisha. Maurya rule in Kalinga was replaced by Chedi dynasty. And the only historical evidence for this dynasty is Hathigumpha inscription. Hathigumpha. Inscription. Hathigumpha inscription. And Hathigumpha inscription was discovered from Udayagiri hills of Odisha. It was discovered from Udayagiri hills of Odisha. And it informs about the ruler Kharavela. And this inscription was written in Prakrit language. This inscription was written in Prakrit language. And this Kharavela was a follower of Jainism. He was a follower of Jainism. See, in his inscription, he informs that he won back the statue of a Jain saint. From Magadha. from Magadha. He informs that he won back the statue of a Jain saint from Magadha. Jain saint from Magadha that was originally abducted by Mahapadma Nanda. That was originally abducted by Mahapadma Nanda. Originally abducted by Mahapadma Nanda. Originally abducted by Mahapadma Nanda. So in the last class, when we were dealing with Mahapadma Nanda, I told that Mahapadma Nanda, he was an emperor. He conquered Kalinga, and during that Kalinga conquest, he took away the statue from Magadha, and it was a pride of Odisha. Now Kharavela, after some 500 years, he gives a claim that he took revenge, he defeated the Magadha, and then brought back that statue of Jain. We don't know how much truth is there in that claim, but this can be a question for UPSC. Okay, so that's why it is important. Then next, Shadavahanas. Shadavahanas. So Mauryan rule in Deccan. No, this Chedi and the Mahajanabada Chedi, no relation. That is different. This is different. This Chedi dynasty is different, not that one we studied in that Mahajanabada period. Now next, Shadavahanas replaced the Mauryan rule in Deccan. So Mauryan rule in Deccan, Andhra, Maharashtra region was replaced by Shadavahanas. This dynasty, they were originally called Andhras. Originally called Andhras. Shadavahanas were originally called Andhras. Originally called Andhras. Shadavahanas were originally called Andhras. And the dynasty was established by a person named Simukha. Founder of this dynasty was Simukha. By Shadavahanas. Mauryan rule in Deccan was replaced by Shadavahanas, and Shadavahanas were originally called Andhras. When they became rulers, they took the title Shadavahana. Before that, they were called Andhra only. Andhra tribe. Andhra tribe became Shadavahanas. Now, Simukha was the founder. Founder of Chedis, we don't know. We know only about Kharavela. So say thanks to the Chedis. Otherwise, we would have studied more. Okay, study only little history is available about Chedis. So no need to worry about that much. The first greatest ruler of Shadavahanas was Shadakarni first. Shadakarni first was the first greatest ruler of the Shadavahana dynasty. Shadakarni first. So I'll show the map. So originally this was the Andhra tribe. Shadavahanas were the Andhra tribe. They had their origin in Andhra region. So initially their rule was confined to this Andhra region only. That is initially the coastal Andhra region. This was the Shadavahana territory. And the Shadavahana power was expanded to Maharashtra. Shadavahana power was expanded to Maharashtra by Shadakarni first. So Shadakarni first expanded the rule to Maharashtra. So Shadavahanas became a powerful kingdom under this man, that is Shadakarni first. So Shadakarni first expanded. Initially they were in Andhra, then they were expanded to Maharashtra by Shadakarni first. Initially Andhra, later they moved on to Maharashtra. The achievements of Shatakarni first. The achievements of Shatakarni first was inscribed on. Achievements of Shatakarni first was inscribed on Nanaghat. Nanaghat inscription. Nanaghat cave inscription. Nanaghat cave inscription by his wife, Nainika. Nanaghat cave inscription by his wife, Nainika. Nainika, she is also called Naganika. So Nainika or Naganika, both are correct. So his wife, Nainika, she had written much about the achievements of her husband, Nanaghat cave by Nainika, and that gives us the information about Shatakarni first. And Shatakarni first had the title Dakshina Padapati, the Lord of South India. He had this title, Dakshina Padapati. Shatakarni first, he had the title Dakshina Padapati. Dakshina Padapati was the title of Shatakarni first. Dakshina Padapati. So in this way, Shatavahanas had a great role in South Indian history, Deccan history. But later what happened was that later the Shatavahanas were pushed out of Maharashtra. Later the Shatavahanas were pushed out of Maharashtra by the Shakas. Pushed out of Maharashtra by the Shakas. Shakas came and they had pushed out the Shatavahanas from Maharashtra region. So slowly they lost. Dakshina Padapati means Lord of South India. Lord, Master, Lord, Lord of South India. So now what happened was that Shatavahanas lost the Maharashtra territory and they were pushed back to Andhra again. So they were reduced. The revival of Shatavahana power. Next point. The revival of Shatavahana power was under their greatest ruler. The revival of Shatavahana power was under their greatest ruler, Gautami Putra Shatakarni. Gautami Putra Shatakarni, who expanded the Shatavahana power up to Narmada. Who expanded the Shatavahana power up to Narmada river. Gautami Putra Shatakarni, who expanded their power up to Narmada. So this was the biggest expansion of the Shatavahanas up to Narmada river in Madhya Pradesh. They expanded under Gautami Putra Shatakarni. So under Gautami Putra Shatakarni, they had a big expansion. Gautami Putra Shatakarni. Gautami Putra Shatakarni. He had two capitals. Gautami Putra had two capitals. One is Pratisthana. Pratisthana. Pratisthana on Godavari river. First capital Pratisthana on Godavari. And second capital Amaravati on Krishna. Amaravati on Krishna. Pratisthana and Amaravati were the capitals. Pratisthana and Amaravati were the capitals. Pratisthana and Amaravati, the capitals. Then the exploits or the achievements of Gautami Putra Shatakarni. The achievements of Gautami Putra Shatakarni was inscribed on. Achievements of Gautami Putra Shatakarni was inscribed on the Nasik inscription. The Nasik inscription. Nasik inscription of his mother Gautami Balashri. So his mother Gautami Balashri, she wrote this Nasik inscription, and in that Nasik inscription we get the information about the rule of Gautami Putra Shadakarni, the greatest of the Shadavahana rulers. Nasik inscription by his mother Gautami Balashri. And Gautami Putra Shadakarni was the first ruler to have metronym. That is mother's name attached to his name. That's why he was called Gautami's Putra, Gautami Putra, metronym, 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 mother's name attached to his name. That is Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Mother's name attached. Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Then it also informs that he defeated Shakas and Indo-Greeks. Nasik inscription informs that he defeated the Shakas and the Indo-Greeks. Defeated the Shakas and Indo-Greeks. Shakas and Indo-Greeks were defeated by Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Shakas and Indo-Greeks defeated by Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Then Gautami Putra Shadakarni was succeeded by his son Vashishti Putra Pulamai, succeeded by his son Vashishti Putra Pulamai, also called Shiva Shri Shadakarni. Shiva Shri Shadakarni. So his son was called Vashishti Putra Pulamai or Shiva Shri Shadakarni. Shiva Shri Shadakarni. Shiva Shri Shadakarni. He entered into conflict with this ruler. He entered into conflict with Shaka king of Gujarat, SAK, Shaka king of Gujarat, named Rudra Daman. Shaka king of Gujarat called Rudra Daman came into conflict with the Shaka king of Gujarat. His name was Rudra Daman. And the conflict came to an end through a matrimonial alliance. Came to an end through a matrimonial alliance. See, history, we don't know whether it is Vasishti Putra or his successor Yajna Shri Shadakarni fought with Rudra Daman. History, we have multiple interpretations here. Some books or some historians opine that it is Vashishti Putra Pulamai. Some says that it is another ruler, Yajna Shri Shadakarni. The idea is that during both these Shadavahana rulers, they might have competed with the Shagas, and we are not clear who married Rudra Daman's daughter. Was it Vasishti Putra or Yajna Shri? So you just remember that there was a conflict between Shagas and the Shadavahanas, and the conflict came to an end through a matrimonial relation. Finally, the Shadavahanas were overthrown by Ikshvakus. overthrown by Ikshvakus. And there is nothing written on Ikshvakus. Only India's Puranas mentions about Ikshvakus. So no need to study about Ikshvakus. Just remember that Shatavahanas were overthrown by Ikshvakus. Were overthrown by Ikshvakus. That's all. Ikshvakus. So that's it. Shatavahanas. So these were the features of the South Indian rule, and little bit on Shatavahana administration. Shatavahana administration. Next topic. Shatavahana administration. Shatavahana administration. See, the Shatavahanas, they followed the Mauryan model of administration. They followed the Mauryan model of administration. They followed the Mauryan model of administration. Mauryan model of administration. Important officers of Shatavahanas were called. Important officers of Shatavahanas were called Amatyas, like the Mauryan name, Amatyas. A-M-A-T-Y-A-S, Amatyas. A-M-A-T-Y-A-S, Amatyas. They are called Amatyas. Then Golmiga was an important officer. Golmiga was an important officer. Golmiga was an important officer under Shatavahanas, and he was a military officer appointed in the frontier areas. He was a military officer appointed in the frontier areas. Military officer appointed in the frontier areas. Golmiga. Military officer in the frontier areas. Golmiga. Military officer in the frontier areas. That was Golmiga. Then Shatavahanas contributed to the Aryanization of South India. Aryanization or Brahmanization of South India. Shatavahanas, they contributed to the Aryanization of South India. Aryanization of South India. That means Brahmins were a North Indian phenomenon. Aryans. Okay, Aryan priestly class was the Brahmins, and there was no Brahmins in South India. And Brahmins migrated from North India to South India during the Shatavahana period. And Shatavahanas brought the Brahmins to South India. Frontier area means bordering area of Shatavahana kingdom. That is the frontier area. So they brought the Brahmins. So they contributed to the Brahmanization of South India. And in this regard, they started the practice of land grants to Brahmins. So gifting land to Brahmins called land grants. So land grants to Brahmins, that was started by Shatavahanas. Land grants to Brahmins, that was started by Shatavahanas. Shatavahanas, they started the practice of land grants to Brahmins. Name Brahmadeya came later. Initially, just they were given this land grants. Okay, was there any term at that time? We are not sure. It was called Brahmadeya common, but that name came much later, not during that period. Okay, sir, I attended Dhanananda. You are not lagging any class. Today we started from there only. Okay, no class is lagging. We started directly from there only, where we stopped some 1.5 months back. Today we started from there only. So land grants. So this land grants, see, assume that Brahmins are coming. So you have to give some land for Brahmins to settle. Say a big Brahmin family, 5 villages were gifted to them. And not only the land, entire people living in that village also became the property of Brahmins. Now Brahmins became the owner of land and owner of the people. So land grant means, assume that a village is gifted to Brahman. He gets the control of that village and the control over the people of that village. And this is how Brahmins dominated India. 10% of Brahmins, they dominated 90% rest of Indians through this land grants. Not the religious control, that is on one side. Through that religion, they got this land grants. And what happened was that they were the owners of the land. All others became dependent on them. So that financial dependence of others on Brahmins, that made them politically, socially, economically powerful in India. And this land grants later followed by all the rulers of India, and that led to the rise of Indian feudalism. So Indian feudalism emerged because of this land grants given to the Brahmins, practice started by Shadavahanas. They also gifted to the other religions also, but 99% it was given to the Brahmins. Buddhism, Jainism also got some, but very few. Now next. Gautami Putra Shadakarni, that is, Gautami Putra Shadakarni had the title Ega Brahmana. Gautami Putra had the title Ega Brahmana. First Brahmana. Its literal meaning is first Brahmana. So that shows their affinity towards the Brahmanical religion. Ega Brahmana. Ega Brahmana concept. So that's the Ega Brahmana concept. Gautami Putra Shadakarni. Ega Brahmana. Then Shadavahanas issued large number of coins. They issued large number of coins, including gold, silver, and copper, and also potin coins. Potin is an alloy, lead and tin. So they were the one who issued a coin in a metal called a potin. So only to mention that potin is at this point. So Shadavahanas, they had gold, silver, copper, potin coins. And if I question potin coin, go for Shadavahanas. Potin coin, if there is a question on potin coins, go for Shadavahanas, potin coins. Then Shadavahanas followed religious tolerance. They followed religious tolerance. Potin is an alloy made of lead and tin. Lead and tin. I don't know whether that will be asked, but remember potin coin. Shadavahanas followed religious tolerance. They also supported Buddhism and Jainism. Also, so you know that already they support Brahmanical religion. They also supported Buddhism and Jainism. This Nagarjuna Konda and all. Shadavahanas were originally non-Brahmins, but they got themselves converted into that Brahmanical faith and all. They got converted into Brahmanical faith. In India, all the religions, if you take some 50, 60 generations back, we can't guarantee that we were in the same religion. No guarantee. Because, for example, South India was Buddhism and Jainism, fully Buddhism and Jainism to a 90% common people, except for the Brahmins and all. And even Brahmins also, the leading Buddhist Jainists also got converted into Brahmanism later. So here, no one can claim that we are following something, okay, all the time these religions were converted. But Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Andhra, dominant of Buddhism and Jainism. And that was declined only with the Bhakti movement emerged in the 6th century onwards. All the celebrated temples of South India were once Buddhist and Jainist temples only. Best example is Sri Shabarimala Temple of Kerala. Shabarimala Temple of Kerala was not a Hindu temple. It is still claimed by Jainist and the Buddhist. And the historical evidences claims that it was a Jain temple, then became a Buddhist, and then became Hindu temple. And even that Hindu temple, now there is a case by the tribal community of that area, claiming that it was their tribal temple taken by them. Okay, cases are there in Kerala High Court. One case is by the Jain, another case is by the tribal community. So many cases are there. So this is the historical truth. Okay, so South India, Brahmin religion came during this period only, and they began to convert the people of South India into the Varna system. That we will study in the society of post-Maurya period, probably today itself. Now, this is regarding the Indian rulers of that period. But the post-Mauryan period is best remembered for the arrival of the foreign parties to India. So next, the foreign groups entered India. Next point. Foreign groups that entered India during the post-Mauryan period. Foreign groups. So chronological order, you should remember them. Who were they? So four groups, mainly four groups came to India during the post-Maurya period. First was the Indo-Greeks. Indo-Greeks. Then came the Shakas. Then came the Parthians. And then came the Kushans. So these were the four foreign groups that entered India, and this is the chronological sequence. First came Indo-Greek, then came Shaka, then came Parthian, and then came the Kushans. This order, remember that. Indo-Greek, Shaka, Parthian, and Kushans. And as I said earlier, it's not one overthrowing other and all. Indo-Greeks came, they established in some region of India. Later Shagas came, they fought with Indo-Greeks, they also established somewhere in India. The four groups and the three which I mentioned earlier, Shunga, Kanva to be considered one because Shungas were overthrown by Kanvas. So Shunga, Kanva, Cheri, Shalavahana. This three and this four. The seven dynasties, they ruled at the same time. They were ruling different parts of India simultaneously. Okay, it's not one after the other. That's the thing you have to understand. Post-Maurya period is the history of all these seven kingdoms. And some, not only seven, South India is there. Chola, Chera, Pandya is there. But that I will cover as a separate topic, South India. Then we will study that South India together. So that's why I'm not mixing South India now, because it will add more confusion. So I try to avoid that confusion, and I will deal with the entire South Indian history in a single class. That is from Megalithic period to Sangam age, and after Sangam, post Sangam, then the Chalukya Pallava, then the Chola, then Vijayanagar, like that we will study the history. Vijayanagar anyway I will deal along with the medieval India itself. The ancient part of the South India we will cover together. So this is the four groups that entered India during the post-Maurya period. Now let's see them one by one. First is Indo-Greeks. Who were these Indo-Greeks? Who were these Indo-Greeks? Any idea who were these Indo-Greeks? Any idea who were these Indo-Greeks? Seleucus Nicator. Yeah, Seleucus Nicator was an Indo-Greek. From Greece, then we will call them Greeks only. If they are from Greece, we will call them Greeks. Why this Indo-Greeks? What's the concept of this Indo-Greek? Seleucus Nicator, West Asian? No. Alexander, you remember? Alexander invaded India and he went back. But not all the Greeks went back. Some Greeks settled in northwest India, the Balochistan region of Pakistan, western Punjab, Afghanistan, and eastern Iran. So that Iran, Afghanistan, Punjab, Balochistan region, Greeks settled. That Greeks and their successors were called Indo-Greeks. So the Greeks who settled in India after Alexander, that Greeks and their successors were called Indo-Greeks. So they were living in the Iran, Afghanistan region, and during the post-Maurya period, facing attacks from the barbarian tribes of Central Asia, these people slowly shifted towards India. So this is why this group, see, basic reason, you didn't ask that question, why so many foreign groups entered India during this time? Why no foreign group entered India during the Mauryan period? Mauryan period, India was a powerful administration was there. The Mauryans, who were capable enough to deal with any invasion. Once there was no big power in India, now there was opportunity. And during that time, there was Central Asia, there was big fights going on in Central Asia. And the Central Asian pagan tribes were pushing here and there, the other communities. So slowly, many groups came to India. And no big power was there to stop them. They entered India, they established their rule. So, Indo-Greeks, you know who are Indo-Greeks now. Next point. First Indo-Greek ruler of India. The first Indo-Greek ruler of India was Demetrius. Demetrius was the first Indo-Greek ruler of India, Demetrius. And he had his capital at Shakala. His capital, Shakala. So his capital was at Shakala, now Pakistan. It is said that the modern Sialkot region of Pakistan. But I do have some doubt in that. Many do have doubt in that. But you remember that that's in Pakistan. Demetrius. His capital was Shakala. The greatest Indo-Greek ruler of India was Menander. Menander was the greatest Indo-Greek ruler. Menander was the greatest Indo-Greek ruler of India. Menander. And he is famous for a philosophical debate. This man is famous for a philosophical debate with a Buddhist monk, Nagasena. Famous for the philosophical debate with the Buddhist monk, Nagasena. So this two had a philosophical debate. And in that debate, Menander was defeated. But highly philosophical. Menander was a scholar, Nagasena was a scholar, heated debate, and eventually Nagasena won the match. And this debate is mentioned in a book called Milinda Pano. This debate is mentioned in a book called Milinda Pano. This debate is mentioned in a book called Milinda Pano. Milinda Pano. And Milinda Pano is written by Nagasena. Milinda Pano written by Nagasena. And Milinda is the name of Menander. Menander's Indian name is Milinda. Just like the Greeks failed to pronounce Chandragupta and they called Sandrocotus, we Indians were not able to pronounce Menander. We call him in the Indian term Milinda. Milinda. Full of new terms, feeling difficult. No way. You have to study that because terms are being asked in the examination. And the prelims, you have to remember. And you will study new terms everywhere. Not only history, geography, polity, economy, everywhere it is terms only. So this is trouble. These are some names only. And just stick on to this thing. No need to go for too much outside reading. NCERT is Shanghai is a material and class material. Stick to that and revise it. So if I can say that, you can remember it. No problem. I don't think anyone got any magical memory. No one got that. You all have the same skill or better than the skill than we people. So you can just remind all these things. Okay, it's not a difficult task. First time hearing, everything will appear Greek and Latin. No need to worry about that. Okay. And Nagasena wrote this book, Milinda Pano. And this is a Buddhist book. Okay, Milinda Pano is a Buddhist book written in Pali language. All this can be the question. Milinda Pano, which language it is written? They can ask that many languages. Pali language, written by Nagasena. Menander, debate. Then, Indo-Greeks were the first rulers to issue gold coins. So, gold coin in India, first time, Indo-Greeks. So Indo-Greeks came with the gold coins in India. So first time gold coin. Now you may have it out. Sir, you told about Shadavahanas had a gold coin. Okay, I told about Shadavahanas had a gold coin, but I also told that all these Shadavahanas and Indo-Greeks were ruling India simultaneously post-Maurya period. First gold coin was by Indo-Greeks and later that was copied by Shadavahanas. Okay, so gold coins was first introduced by Indo-Greeks. Not only that, they issued the coins with the image of the king for the first time. Image of kings. So this too, significant contribution in India's monetary history, arrival of gold coin and coins with the image of the kings. So they mentioned that which king issued which coin, and this helped us to identify 30 Indo-Greek kings. So history, we could clearly establish that 30 Indo-Greek kings ruled India. So we got the name of 30 kings from the coins alone. And I will show you the coins, some coins of Indo-Greek kings. See this thing. Can you see? Yeah, gold coins Indo-Greek. This is Menander's gold coin, the Menander. This is King Menander, the gold coin of Menander. I think this is a creation of Menander only. It's not a coin image. I will show the coin image. That's a creation. See, this is a coin. This is a gold coin, not gold coin. This is a silver coin. You can see the name Menander, M-E-N-A-N, Menander. Because we are also using the Greek script. Okay, we are also using that Greek. That is a Roman script we are using. English language, Roman script. German language, Roman script. Russian language, Roman script. European language is common script. Language is different. That's why you can identify that M-E-N-A-N. Remaining, I don't know. So this is how. This is a coin. Then another coin also, gold coin also. Let me see whether gold coin is kept or not. I don't know whether any other gold coin. Yeah, this I don't know what material it is. This is also the Menander coin. So these were some of the coins. So coins and gold coins and coins with the image of the king. That was introduced by the Indo-Greeks. Then next, the Indo-Greeks also introduced the practice of military governorship in India. Military governorship. Military governorship. That is appointing military officers as provincial governors. So the practice of appointing military officers as provincial governors. Earlier, Mauryan Ashoka, we studied that Rajkumars, Kumaras were appointed. Here, military officers were appointed as the provincial governors. So that military governorship that was started by the Indo-Greeks, and the military governors were called strategos. Military governors were called strategos. Strategos. Military governors were called strategos. Chronology of their arrival. That is, this is the order they came. Then the chronology in India, Shagas, Chedis and Shadavahanas, same time period. The three emerged in three different areas of India immediately after the Maurya. So there is no relative chronology. All that three emerged same time in India. Okay. I clearly mentioned that Shagas and Kanvas in central India, Gangetic Plain. Chedis in Odisha, Shadavahanas in South India. Just like Edappadi Palaniswamy in Tamil Nadu, Yediyurappa in Karnataka, Jagan Reddy in Andhra. Same time they were ruling. So there is no relative chronology as such. That's why I didn't mention the chronological part of the Shadavahanas and all. Not required. No need to worry. So that is regarding Indo-Greeks. Now the next is Shakas. Next is Shakas. Shakas. Shakas, they were originally the Scythian tribe of Central Asia. Scythian tribe. So their tribal name is Scythians. And India, they were called Shakas. Scythian tribe of Central Asia. Scythian tribe of Central Asia. Shakas, they were the Scythian tribes of Central Asia. Shakas. Scythian tribe of Central Asia. Scythian tribe of Central Asia. They entered India through Bolan Pass. They entered India through Bolan Pass. Bolan Pass is in the south of central part of Pakistan. And why I mentioned this Bolan Pass, because I'll show you. See, India, we have our Himalayas and all. See, northern part of India, we have the Himalayas, the Himalayan ranges. Then it's northwestern part of India, we have the Hindu Kush mountains. And that again comes down in the Pakistan as Sulaiman range and all. So mountainous region. And historically, all the invaders came to India through Khyber Pass of Hindu Kush. So all the invasions of India came through this pass, Khyber. That is the Aryans. The first invaders came to India, Aryans. Historically, we know only about Aryan invasion. Aryans, then Iranians, Greeks under Alexander, then this Indo-Greeks, Parthians, Kushans, Huns, Turks, Mughals, again Iranians under Nadir Shah. So all the invasions except European, all other invasions came through Khyber Pass. And only exception to this was the Shakas who entered India through Bolan Pass. So they entered through Gujarat. So they entered India through Gujarat, Bolan Pass. So that's why I mentioned the name of Bolan Pass. So all other historical invasions came through Khyber in the northern Hindu Kush, whereas it is through Bolan Pass, Shakas entered India, Bolan Pass. The next point, the first Shaka ruler of India was Movus or Moga. So he was the first Shaka ruler of India. Movus or Moga, he was the first Shaka ruler of India. Movus or Moga, the first Shaka ruler of India. Movus or Moga, he was the first Shaka ruler of India. Movus or Moga, first Shaka ruler. Shakas established 5 branches in India. They established 5 branches in India. So they had branches, 5 branches in India. First one we can say Gujarat, then Maharashtra, so I already told you that Shadavahanas were thrown out of Maharashtra by Shakas. So Maharashtra, then another branch Mathura, another one in Punjab, and the final one in Kabul. So Shakas had 5 branches in Indian subcontinent: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Mathura, Punjab, and Kabul. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Mathura, Punjab, and Kabul. Then next, the most famous Shaka ruler of India, the most famous Shaka ruler of India, that was Rudradaman. Who ruled Gujarat. Rudradaman, who ruled Gujarat. Rudradaman. He is famous for mainly two things. First one, he issued the first Sanskrit inscription of India. Rudradaman, he issued the first Sanskrit inscription of India. He issued the first Sanskrit inscription of India. First Sanskrit inscription, that was by Rudradaman. Can anyone name it? Can anyone name it? Which was that inscription? Any idea? Junagadh. Junagadh inscription. Junagadh is a place in Gujarat. So Junagadh inscription of Rudradaman was the first Sanskrit inscription issued in India. Then he also renovated Sudarshana Lake of Girnar. Sudarshana Lake of Girnar. He also renovated the Sudarshana Lake of Girnar. Sudarshana Lake of Girnar, which was originally constructed by Chandragupta Maurya. Originally constructed by Chandragupta Maurya. Originally constructed by Chandragupta Maurya. Yeah, Rudradaman first. And he is known by the name Rudradaman. Other Rudradamans are not that important. Rudradaman. Actually, this lake is Gujarat, Junagadh only. In that inscription only, he mentions that he renovated Sudarshana Lake, which was originally constructed by Chandragupta Maurya and later renovated by Ashoka also. Okay, it is that information was provided by this inscription. Rudradaman says that he renovated the Sudarshana Lake, which was originally constructed by Chandragupta Maurya and later renovated by Ashoka. Then next, Shakas also continued the military governorship. Shakas also continued the military governorship, and it was called Kshatrapas. So Shaka military governors were called Kshatrapas. Kshatrapas. Shaka military governors, they were called Kshatrapas. 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 Then next, Parthians. Next group came to India, Parthians. They were also from Central Asia. All of them were from Central Asia. Parthians. They were originally the Pahlava tribe. Pahlava tribe. Pahlava. Pahlava tribe of Central Asia. Shakas. Pahlava tribe of Central Asia. And the most important source of Parthians in India, Takht-e-Bahi inscription. This is the important source of Parthian rule in India. Takht-e-Bahi inscription. Takthibahi. Takht-e-Bahi inscription. Takht-e-Bahi. This was discovered from Afghanistan. This inscription is from Afghanistan. And it informs about the rule of King Gondophares. So this is the king which we know in this Gondophares. Gondophares. Takht-e-Bahi. And the region, they ruled eastern Afghanistan and western Punjab. They ruled eastern Afghanistan and western Punjab. We don't know much about the Parthians because only one inscription gives us the idea. And you can add one more point. Simultaneously, two rulers. Simultaneously, two kings ruled Parthians. Simultaneously, two kings ruled Parthians. 2 kings ruled Parthians. We don't know whether it was for all the rulers, because Gondophares information never mentions about another ruler. But there were some instances where Parthians were simultaneously ruled by 2 kings instead of the normal practice of a single monarch. So this is an important point of Parthians. Parthians, they had that mechanism, ruled by 2 rulers. That is Parthians. Now you take a break. 7 minutes break. We'll be back. And the last major group that entered India, that was Kushanas. Kushanas were the last group to enter India. Kushanas. And these Kushanas, they belong to Yuezhi tribe of Central Asia. Yuezhi tribe of Central Asia. Yuezhi tribe of Central Asia. So, Yuezhi tribe. And in India, they were called Kushans. And the first Kushana ruler of India, Kujula Kadphises. So the first Kushana ruler of India was Kujula Kadphises. He was the first Kushana ruler of India, Kujula Kadphises. And the greatest Kushana ruler of India, Kanishka. So Kanishka was the greatest Kushana ruler of India. And Kanishka is best remembered for the establishment of Shaka era. Kujula Kadphises. You want that again? This is that. Kujula Kadphises. Kujula Kadphises. And the greatest ruler was Kanishka. And Kanishka is best remembered for the establishment of a new calendar called Shaka era in AD 78. So in AD 78, Kanishka established Shaka era. So Shaka era was established by Kanishka in the year AD 78. AD 78. And it is said that he introduced that to commemorate his victory over the Shakas. That is, it is said that he defeated the Shakas, and to commemorate that he established Shaka era. We don't know whether that was the reason for that name Shaka era. Because if we defeat Pakistan or China tomorrow, I don't think we will start a Pakistan era or China era. So I don't know. All the tribes came from Central Asia. Even the Yuezhis also came from Central Asia. And Shaka era is very significant for us. Why? Why Shaka era? What is the significance of this Shaka era? What's the significance of Shaka era? What's the significance of Shaka era? Government of India follows? For what? Government of India follows what? So that means the UPSC declare the date according to Shaka calendar. If the government India follows that, we will not write examination on October 4th. We would have been written that on another date. It's not the government of India follows, not because of 365 days. Most of the calendars follow 365 days, except that Islamic calendar and all. Some few is not having 365 calendars. Significance is national calendar of India. It is the national calendar of India, national calendar. So national things we used to keep for namesake, like national tiger, national animal, national heritage animal, national flower, national bird, national, like that. This is the national calendar. But 99% of Indians don't know Shaka calendar also. No problem in not understanding that. So that is the national calendar. A good question for the children's general knowledge and all. But UPSC always asks this. Shagaira questions in our examination. Shagaira. National calendar adopted in the year 1957. It was adopted as our national calendar in the year 1957. So independent India government, after the independence, after 10 years, they adopted this calendar. 1957, Shaka era was adopted as the national calendar of India. And the New Year Day. What's the New Year Day according to Shaka era? New Year Day. Any idea? The New Year Day is 22nd of March. So 22nd of March, 22nd of the March is the New Year Day. And there was once a question, if it is a leap year, then the New Year Day will fall on which day? There was a question, I think it was in 2013 or 2014 prelims. If it is a leap year, the first day of Shaka era will fall on, is it 22nd March, 21st March, 23rd March, or some other day? Any idea? It's simple mathematics. So New Year, if it is a leap year, it will be on 21st of March, not 23rd, 21st of March. In a leap year, it is New Year Day is 21st of March. In a leap year, it is 21st of March. And what's the first month? Name of the first month. Don't say March. Just like we have March, January, February all in the calendar. Shaka era got 12 names for their 12 months. So what's the corresponding month? What's the corresponding month of Shaka era? Not Baishakhi. The first month is called Chaitra. Chaitra. It is called Chaitra. 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 Chaitra month. Chaitra. Like Chittirai. Same thing. Chittirai also emerged from this Chaitra only. Yeah. Chittirai got the name from Chaitra only. Chaitra was first. And the name Chittirai and all were adopted from this calendar only. That's why this was adopted as a national calendar. This calendar had wide acceptance by many kingdoms in India. And the last month is Falgun, like Panguni. Falgun. Last month is called Falgun. All this were asked in our examination. Though this is not a part of culture, it is not a part of history, but this is a general knowledge. But you could study all these national symbols and all. That's important. So that's it, Chaitra. Then next, going back to Kanishka. This is the same slide we have the Kanishka. Na? So this is regarding the Shaka era of Kanishka. Now Kanishka is again famous for his patronage to Buddhism. Kanishka is also famous for his patronage to Buddhism. He conducted the 4th Buddhist Council. He conducted the 4th Buddhist Council. He conducted the 4th Buddhist Council. So we studied 1st, 2nd and 3rd councils. First council at Rajagriha, Jadashatru, second council at Vaishali, Kalashoka, third council at Pataliputra, Ashoka, So the fourth Buddhist council was patronized by Kanishka and it was held at Kashmir. Kashmir. Fourth Buddhist council was held at Kashmir. Fourth Buddhist council was held at Kashmir. Fourth Buddhist council at Kashmir. Kashmir. And the president of that council was Vasumitra. Vasumitra. Vasumitra was the president of that council, and there was a vice president also, Ashwaghosha. Vice President Ashwaghosha. There was a vice president called Ashwaghosha. Ashwaghosha. He was the vice president of this council. So earlier councils we studied only president. Here a president as well as a vice president was there. President and a vice president was there. Then it was in this council Buddhism got split into two. Buddhism got split into two, Mahayana and Hinayana. Mahayana and Hinayana. All this we will study later, religion and all. So here the Buddhist Sangha got a vertical split, Mahayana and Hinayana. And we should thank the Buddhists for splitting, because no more councils after that. Otherwise we would have studied 5th council, 6th council, 7th council, like that. So with this, councils came to an end. With this 4th council, the councils came to an end. The next point, the famous Ayurveda physician, Charaka. Charaka, Ayurveda physician, most famous Ayurveda physician, Charaka. He was in the court of Kanishka. Charaka, he was in the court of Kanishka. Charaka. He was in the court of Kanishka, Charaka. Then the most important source of Kanishka's history. Most important source of Kanishka's history. Rabatak inscription. Rabatak inscription. Rabatak. Rabatak inscription. Discovered from Rabatak inscription discovered from Afghanistan. Rabatak inscription discovered from Afghanistan. Then Kanishka and other Kushana rulers. Kanishka and other Kushana rulers. Kanishka and other Kushana rulers adopted the title Kaiser. Kaiser. That is the Roman Caesar. At that time, Rome was ruled by the Caesars. Augustus Caesar, Octavian Caesar, Julius Caesar and all. So that title Kaiser was followed by the Kushana rulers in Kanishka. Kaiser. They also had the title Devaputra, son of gods. Devaputra. Devaputra, Kaiser and all were the titles of Kushana rulers. Kaiser, Devaputra. So that's regarding the Kushana rulers. The other successors of Kanishka, so many rulers are there. Vasishka, Huvishka, so many are there. No need to study about these rulers. It's not that significant. So this is regarding the political history of post-Mauryan period. Post-Mauryan period, political history. These dynasties and the important points. But the post-Mauryan period is significant for economy, society, and art and culture. So these are the more important areas of this period, because there was a boom in the economy. There was far-reaching changes in the society. That economic boom led to the development of art and culture. So that was a period of development of art and culture also. So we will see the topics one by one. The next topic, post-Mauryan economy. Next topic is post-Mauryan economy. So next topic, post-Mauryan economy. So this was the most prosperous age of ancient India. Undoubtedly, we can say that this was the most prosperous age of ancient India. Most prosperous age of ancient India. Most prosperous age of ancient India. There was a huge boom everywhere: agriculture, industry, trade, and commerce. So first point, let's see agriculture. Agriculture. So agriculture, there was huge growth, mainly because of three reasons. Huge growth in agriculture, mainly because of three reasons. First one, the emergence of individual rights of farmers. Individual rights for farmers. Individual right. That is individual proprietary rights, not ownership rights, because land was owned by the king. People could cultivate that as long as they pay the tax. So there was nothing called ownership, but we can say occupancy rights. Peasants got that occupancy rights, individual occupancy rights. The thing is that here you have to relate it with the Mauryans. In the Mauryan period, I said that it was state farms, state agricultural farms. And the peasants in big majority were the slaves of the state, we can say. They work for the state. So even if you produce more also, no use. Your income was fixed under the state farms. So there was no monetary incentive for the farmers to work hard. They worked the minimum required. They didn't work hard to increase the production and all. But Mauryan Empire declined and India got disintegrated into so many states. And no more state-controlled farms. Peasants were given more freedom. They were given the occupancy rights, that you can cultivate this land as long as you pay the tax. And if there is an increase in the produce, you will also get that surplus. So peasants were in a position that they will get a share of the surplus. That means there is a monetary incentive now. Work hard. Just like today, we will give targets to the staff. Okay. In most of our IT, BPO, all these industries, targets are there. Marketing everywhere. You meet the targets, additional incentive, foreign trips, this, that, and all will be there. So now the peasants had a monetary incentive to work hard. So that automatically reflected in the production. So there was an increase in the production because of that individual occupancy rights. Clear? Okay. Second is the land grants to Brahmins. Second reason, land grants to Brahmins. Land grants to Brahmins. How the land grants to Brahmins increase agriculture? I'll explain. Assume that I'm a king, okay, and I gave say 100 acres of land to a Brahmin. I gave him 100 acres of land grant. But I ensured that only 50% of that land is under cultivation. That is, this is cultivable land, which give the Brahmins an income of say 1 lakh rupees. So Brahmin will get 1 lakh rupees from this land. But he is now the owner of 100 acres. Of that, only 50% is under cultivation. So initially the kings gave half cultivated land. They didn't give fully 100% cultivated land was not given. That was a tactic of the ruler. Why? Assume that you are the Brahmins. You were the Brahmins who received this land. Will you be satisfied with this 1 lakh rupee? Or will you try to increase that to 2 lakh by expanding the remaining uncultivated land. If you are a human, you will try to expand the agriculture. So what happened was that the Brahmin landlords who received this land, they expanded the agriculture into the uncultivated land with the help of the Shudra peasants. So here what happened? Income of the Brahmin is doubled. So he got 1 more lakh. So when he get 2 lakh, automatically there is an increase in production that will enter the market, sale of the commodity, state will get sales tax, and this income he will pay something to the peasants who are working for them. So their income will increase, they will purchase from the market, automatically trade will increase. So overall benefit for the economy and the people associated with that. So land grants in this way contributed to the expansion of agriculture. Land under cultivation got expanded under the land grants. Clear this point? Second point? Okay. And the third point for the development of agriculture is irrigation, development of irrigation sponsored by the state. Development of irrigation facility. Irrigation facility, development of irrigation by the state. And we have 2 examples to give. One is Sudarshana Lake. Rudradaman says that he renovated that for irrigation purpose. Sudarshana Lake. And second is Gatti Yandra. Gatti Yandra is an irrigation device, just like our water wheel, Persian wheel model. Gatti Yandra, it is an irrigation device. The literary books of the post-Maurya period mentions about this Gatti Yandra. So from that, we will assume that this Gatti Yandra was a popular equipment. That's why it is mentioned everywhere in the literature. So just like today's movies, see, after 2000 or 2005, from 2000 onwards, all the movies we have mobile phones. Before 2000 or before 1990, definitely there is no mobile phone in any movie. So we can understand that there was no mobile phones then. And when we watch the movies from 2000, we can say that, okay, mobile phone is very popular after 2000. Same way, post-Mauryan books frequently mentions about something called Gatti Yandra. So from that, we will understand that irrigation was well developed. So these were the factors that led to the growth of agriculture. So agriculture was well developed during this period. Clear? Now next, industries. Second point, industries. Industries. Huge growth in the commodity production. There was a huge growth in commodity production, or you can write craft production. Huge growth in the craft production. Huge growth in the craft production. And the number of crafts. Craft means handicraft activities. Manufacturing. The number of crafts increased from 24 during the Mauryan period to 75 during the post-Mauryan period. So 24 to 75. So huge growth. So there is a huge growth in the agricultural production. Sorry, huge growth in the craft production. See, the point is that from all the Mauryan sources, Ashoka's inscription, Arthashastra, this book, that book and all, we could find only 24 craft activities. In stories and all, stories may mention about the story of a weaver. We will understand that weaving was there. If a story mentions about the story of a blacksmith, we will understand that blacksmith was there. If a story mentions about a painter, we will say that painting was there. If we get a story of a leather worker, we will say that leather work, tanning was there. So in this way, we were able to find out only 24 activities during the Mauryan period. But post-Mauryan books mentions about 75 crafts. So you can say that more than 200% increase, because 24 into 2 is 48 and 2 times it is 72. Okay. So there is a huge growth in the industrial sector. So that definitely shows that there was a huge growth in the commodities production. And my question, why suddenly this rise? What could be the reason for this rise in the commodities production? Think, common sense, you can answer. Think and answer. What could be the reason for the rise of sudden rise? Normally, if it increased to 24 to 30 or 40, we don't worry. But this is a phenomenal rise. Incredible, we can say, 24 to 75. What could be the reason? Anyone can answer. Yeah. Not export of craft. It's not the export of craft. One already said that answer. That is the pluralism in the culture. But to make it clear, introduction of new technologies by the foreign groups. That's the most important factor. So the most important factor for the rise of new craft, introduction of new technologies by the foreign groups. Introduction of new technologies by the foreign groups. Introduction of new technologies by the foreign groups. So introduction of new technologies by the foreign groups. Plus that agricultural growth, because the base of everything is the primary sector. Huge production, huge supply of raw materials. So these two factors. And the most important industrial activities were textiles, cotton and silk textiles, cotton and silk textiles. Then oil manufacturing, oil, pearl production, pearl manufacturing. Then ivory works, leather works, metal works. This is not an important point. You can understand that all these works were there. So many works were there. Oil was there from the very beginning. Okay, oil was from the very beginning, but this time oil manufacturing became a very big industry. A specialized caste also emerged, telis. Oil making community were called telis. A special caste also emerged from that, oil manufacturing. It became a big business at that time. Oil, perfume oil, many things were there. Then next is trade. Not these products were not imported, technologies. The people who came to India, Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Kushanas, Parthians, they came to India along with their technology. They made India, they made India their home, and they used India as their home, and they produced everything in India, and we exported this to other countries, and that's why India became rich. That is the next point, trade. We exported all this, that's it. Okay. Next is trade. So this is the period where India emerged as the world leader of trade. So several factors contributed to the growth of trade. Point number one, the foreign rulers linked India to outside world. Linked India to outside world. That means already we are having links, but that link became more profound. They linked India to West Asia, Europe, Central Asia, China, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia. So during this period, India had trade with all these areas. West Asia, Central Asia, Europe, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and China. So the foreign groups were interested in trade. Today also trade governs the world. Then also they linked India to outside world. So we got more avenues for trade. So that's the first thing. That is the new ruling groups. Second point, the rise of Roman Empire. The rise of Roman Empire and Han Empire. Rise of Roman Empire and Han Empire. Who is writing there? Okay. Roman Empire and Han Empire. Roman Empire in Europe and Turkey area, Han Empire in China. India at the center. And these two emerged as the big markets for India. So we can say that was the period of globalization. Okay, India had two rich markets, Roman Empire and Han Empire. Third point is the discovery of monsoon trade route. Discovery of monsoon trade route. Discovery of monsoon trade route. That needs a little explanation. I will explain. See, West Asia, Persian Gulf, India, Red Sea, Africa. So this was the then Roman Empire, North Africa, Arabia, Turkey, Europe. This was the then Roman Empire. And earlier times, the shipping was very difficult. There was no motorized ships. And the winds were not that permanent in this Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea part. And every ship was driven with the sail, that is with the wind help. So earlier the shipping was coastal shipping. So if anyone wants to come from the Roman Empire to India, they started from, assume that they've started from Egypt, they will travel parallel to the coast. Otherwise they will lose the route. So it was not through the high seas. They followed the coast and traveled to India. This is the way they came to Kerala, Tamil Nadu, up to Bengal. So you just imagine how difficult journey it is. For months it was. Because, and that's why the ancient map is remarkably accurate. Because they're traveling the way they used to make the map. So map were accurate in that regard. And it was in AD 45. A Roman Hippalus, a Roman named Hippalus, he discovered the mechanism of our monsoon winds. He realized that every April, May time, a wind that appears from the southern hemisphere changes its direction under Coriolis force. You might have studied this in your geography class. And that wind blows to India. And this wind we call as our southwest monsoon. And this man, Hippalus, also discovered that after 3 months, this wind comes back to its original location at Africa. And that we call as our northeast monsoon. So now they got that mechanism that for 4 to 5 months, winds are permanent. April end onwards, May, June, July, August, this wind goes to India. September, October, the winds comes back. Now, you just imagine the journey distance. Earlier, it was entire distance, and now it is directly you can come to India. See the difference between the blue color and the red color. And not only that, now big ships can travel. Earlier ships with just 40 men traveled. Now ships with 400 men began to travel. So huge ships with huge quantities. So this intensified the trade between India and the Roman world. So the monsoon discovery in this way strengthened the trade relation. Then next point, the profitable silk trade. That was the next reason for India's growth. Profitable silk trade. Profitable silk trade with the Roman Empire. Profitable silk trade with Roman Empire. Roman Empire. See, China was the center of silk, and China used to sell silk through the Silk Route to Europe. But post-Mauryan period, our tribes emerged. I mentioned about the barbarian tribes. These barbarian tribes attacked Central Asia. Silk Route got disrupted. So no Chinese silk traveled to Europe. Indians realized this is our opportunity. We approached the Chinese, procured their silk. Then through this Arabian Sea, we exported silk to Romans at 10 to 15 times than the original cost. So assume that India procured this silk from Chinese for 100 rupees. We sold that in Rome for 1000 to 1500 rupees. You can imagine the profit. Not only for 1 year, 500 years, India traded this. That is from 1st century AD onwards to the mid-Gupta period. Even after, till 500 AD, India had this 500 years of looting of Romans, we can say. So this made India rich, richer, and the richest of the world. So this trade, silk trade. Then next reason for the growth of trade is the role of the trade guild. Role of the trade guilds. Trade guild is the associations, organizations. It's the organizations of artisans or traders, artisans or traders, organized on the basis of caste and profession. Organized on the basis of caste and profession. Caste and profession. Originally that was profession, later all the professions became a caste. Okay. See, for example, assume that we are in the Bangalore city or Chennai city. We all are the pottery makers of Chennai and Bangalore. We formed our association, Pottery Makers Association of Bangalore, Goldsmith Association of Chennai, Oil Makers Association of Hyderabad, Textile Workers of Trivandrum. Like that, the people doing the same job, they came together. They came together and they formed their association. And eventually, in India, you know, every caste is based on a caste profession. Okay, that is from the priest class to all this. In India, weaver is a caste, pottery is a caste, blacksmith is a caste, barber is a caste, carpenter is a caste, tanning, leather worker is a caste, butcher is a caste. So in India, every caste is based on a caste profession. So here also the people came together. See, we are pottery makers. We will have only pottery makers in our association. If you are goldsmith, goldsmiths only. Oil makers, oil makers only. And oil maker means if we are making vegetable oil, we will be vegetable oil makers. If we are making all our vegetable oil only, leave it. For example, I mentioned that see, for example, sunflower oil makers, coconut oil makers, perfume oil makers. Like that, so many associations came in. And the advantage is that these trade guilds were given full freedom by the state. They were given full freedom in the economic activities. That is the significance. We can say this was the liberalization era of India. No need to write that. Today we are on LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Here also it was there. Post-Mauryan rulers liberalized the economy. Mauryans controlled everything. Here, these groups liberalized the economy. Then privatization. You can see the full trade guilds and all were given full freedom. State. Earlier, Mauryans, they controlled everything. Now liberalized, privatized. And Roman Empire, Chinese Empire, Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka. Globalization. So that was there. And I am also a supporter of liberalization, privatization, globalization, but not like the crony capitalism. India today, we have cartel system. A part will be taken by Ambani, another part is taken by Adani. All others will be finished. Okay, that model freedom I don't support. This monopolies and all should be restricted, or else eventually we all are going to be the slaves of Ambani or Adani. That is going to be happen in this country. Okay, and this model is not right. We want the opportunity for all. And India, now it is income inequality is glaring like anything. And one day, everything will come to a burst. That is for sure. LPG of that time. So, not crony capitalism, but economy will survive only under liberalization. And that is evident. All the communist economies collapsed. Nowhere communism became a successful model in the history. Communist countries were filled with poverty, hunger, poverty, nothing else. See, for example, Mao Zedong, when he became the ruler of China, the Chinese people were in half poverty. Under Mao Zedong, they were converted into full poverty. And then Deng Xiaoping came and he changed the communist economy into a capitalist economy. China is a capitalist economy controlled by a communist party. China is not a communist economy. China is not a socialist economy. China is a capitalist economy controlled by a communist party. If it was communism in China, China would have been finished by this time. They realized the trend. You might have studied in your world history. Soviet Union and all the communist bloc collapsed. Biggest reason, the autocracy of the communist parties. They never gave freedom to the people. Basic human rights was denied. No democracy in the communist world. India communist parties are part of democracy. That is not the communist party other side. In Indian communist party are not communist parties. They are the communist parties in the name only. They are just like a middle class political party believing in democracy and all. So that's why in India, communist party is liked by a few people. My state, good number of people follows communism because they are democratic party. Okay. But worldwide, wherever communism was there was no democracy, no freedom, nothing. And that led to their collapse. The point here is that economy will survive only when liberalism is there. So this freedom was given to the trade guilds. They could produce whatever quantity, they could fix the quality, they had all the rights. Some additional points on trade guilds is required, you write that also. Trade guilds were called Shreni. So the Indian term for trade guild is Shreni. The head was called Sartavaha. The leader was called Sartavaha or Jyeshta. Sartavaha or Jyeshta. Jyeshta only. Sartavaha or Jyeshta. Then each Shreni had its own internal law. Each Shreni had its own internal law. That is, they all were bound, guided by its own law called Shreni Dharma. Shreni Dharma. Shreni Dharma. And Shreni Dharma was applicable to the family members also. Family members. Assume that if I am the member of a Shreni, Shreni Dharma is not only applicable to me, that is applicable to my family members also. So that's why all this eventually crystallized into a caste. Okay. That means every activity, conduct of my family is now based on Shreni Dharma. Then the Shrenis had the right to mint coins. Mint coins. So that shows the power and the integrity of the Shrenis. See, will the government allow any people to make the currency? Okay. Now India government is printing, RBI. Maybe in the future we will give that to the companies. Okay, private companies, you print this much notes for us and all. Could be possible. But at that time, these coins are based on the value of the metal. Whether it is gold, the gram, silver, how many grams, like that. So government issued the coins, and government will never allow any private party to mint the coins. Why? Private people, instead of gold, they can make coin only gold in color, and inside it could be copper. So they can fool the people. So government will never allow the private people to mint the coin. But here the government allowed the Shrenis to mint the coin, because everyone believed that Shreni people are good in their conduct. So that shows their integrity and their power in the society. They were the only people other than the government in entire history got the right to mint the coins. So that is not to have any problem, because coins are minted by the government. And if the availability is less, trade will be affected. So in order to prevent that, the government allowed the trade guilds to mint the coin, and it was made a legal tender. That is, every people can exchange government coin with the guild coin. For example, Nepal and Bhutan, Indian currency is a legal tender there. In Nepal and Bhutan, we can go with our 10 rupee, 100 rupee, 2000 rupee note. They will accept. Only during that demonetization time, they said no Indian currency is accepted here. Okay, they feared that all the counterfeited currency will enter Nepal. Other than that, these are the two countries where Indian currency is a legal tender, only Nepal and Bhutan. Okay, I don't know whether it is there in Nepal now. It should be there. Nepalese is visibly anti-Indian now. Okay, not only Nepalese, all our neighbors are getting anti-Indian. Bangladesh, as of now, pro-Indian, because Sheikh Hasina, she knows this China well. That's why. Other than that, if Khalida Zia comes to power in Bangladesh, that's the end of our security in eastern part. She is pro-Pakistan, she is a terrorist, and she is pro-China too. Then this mint coins. Then they had their own private army. They had their private army also for protection. State allowed them to keep their security force, Shreni Bala. It was called Shreni Bala. Army was called Shreni Bala. Then they could keep their flags also. Like we have Chennai Super King flag, Bangalore, that teams, they have their flags now. Likewise, every Shreni was allowed to keep a flag for identity. It was a prestige. So this condition also contributed to the growth of trade. And the last point for the growth of trade is changes in Buddhism and Jainism, changes in the religion, Buddhism and Jainism. Changes in Buddhism and Jainism. So Buddhism and Jainism adopted idol worship. It was absent initially, idol worship, rituals. So, you know, if you are doing puja, so you know, long list of things you have to purchase from the market. Okay, puja is not without anything. So many things you have to purchase, sandalwood, camphor, this, that, ghee, so many things are there. Na? So likewise, idol worship was started in Buddhism and Jainism. Rituals started in Buddhism and Jainism. So what happened? These religions were very popular in India during that time. Okay, the combined strength of Buddhism and Jainism was more than the Brahminical religion. Buddhism, Jainism, their strength was, combined strength was more than all other religions of India. And majority of Indians, Buddhism and Jainism, they adopted idol worship and rituals. So what is the impact? The religion itself became a market. Religion itself became a market. And that's why all the traders supported Buddhism and Jainism. You might have heard that traders supported Buddhism, Jainism, just like Ambanis and Adanis supporting the ruling government. You support the powerful people, automatically you will get opportunities. So assume that I am a oil seller, a perfume oil seller of Chennai city. And assume that Chennai city got 1 lakh families of Jain. Okay, 1 lakh Jain family in Chennai city, assume that. And the price of my oil is just 10 rupees. I just gifted, say, 2 lakh rupees to the Jain head priest of that Chennai. So he is my friend now. As I supported them financially, the Jain establishments, they now ask the followers to perform a puja, okay, perform a puja once in a year at least, where this perfume oil was required. And I had the monopoly of perfume oil. Assume that 1 lakh family purchasing this, I am getting a market of 10 lakh. And my profit could be, say, 6 lakh. 40-60% is my profit. Of 6 lakh, even if I give 2 lakh, still I am assured of 4 lakh profit. So this is why the traders and all supported Buddhists and Jainists at that time, because they turned out to be a big market. So these things, yeah, in puja, so many people will come, just like our Lions Club and all. See, the traders and businessmen will join the Lions Club so that they will get new acquaintances that will help their business directly or indirectly. Same thing. So these were the factors that contributed to the growth of trade. So these were the factors. What's the time now? It's 7:17. Okay. So these were the factors that contributed to the growth of trade. Clear all the points? Then next, the trade was mainly through seaports. The trade was mainly through seaports. That is port cities. And leading port cities you may take down. Port, P-O-R-T, seaport. The leading port cities of that post-Mauryan period. Where is our map? Okay. So these were the port cities. You may write down the names also. Barbaricum, Barigasa, Sopara, Tindis, Musiris, Nelkinda. Tindis, Musiris, Nelkinda, Korkai, Camera, Arikamedu, and Tamralipti. So these are the port cities, the prominent port cities of that time. Barbaricum, Barigasa, Sopara, Tindis, Musiris, Nelkinda, Korkai, Camera, Arikamedu, Tamralipti. These are the cities. You finish this map, then you can write their locations. Barbaricum is now in Pakistan, mouth of Indus River. So we can say near Karachi. Barbaricum is in Pakistan right now, mouth of Indus River. Barigasa is Bharuch, Gujarat. Bharuch in Gujarat. B-H-A-R-U-C-H. Bharuch in Gujarat. That's a port. It's not a major port, a minor port even today. Bharuch, Barigasa. Sopara is in Maharashtra. Then Tindis, Musiris, and Nelkinda, Kerala coast. Tindis, Musiris, and Nelkinda, Kerala. These are the Roman names. Arikamedu, I don't think it is Roman. Arikamedu and Tamralipti is not Roman. Other than that, all other names. And these three names. Sopara is Indian name. Arikamedu is Indian name. Tamralipti is Indian name. All other names are Roman names. Tindis, Musiris, and Korkai also Indian name only. Korkai. Korkai is Indian name. That is Tamil. Korkai. Korkai, Camera, Arikamedu in Tamil Nadu. And Camera is Pumpuhar. Camera is a Roman name of Pumpuhar. Karigala Chola's Pumpuhar. Camera is Pumpuhar. Then Tamralipti is Tamluk in West Bengal now. Tamluk in Bengal. The remaining we will see tomorrow. Okay. So we will start from here tomorrow, and I will give the Indian names of this also tomorrow, because that can be asked. So see you tomorrow.